Hello. Hello, people. I'm hungry already. I just woke up 5 minutes ago. Oh man, I already have a Varg's info. Fuck. Um, what is the other one? Can they be the same? Can they be the same? Where's that one? Yeah. Yeah, don't call it type info. Call it, I don't know. Make up a half nonsense name. Okay. Gotta get rid of everyone who uses the old thing. Also, this means type definition has one more flag in it, which sucks, but not that bad because we can make that better later. Like all of these things. So this vararg's calling spec is like goes with these. So this is my basic struct for a type in this programming language, and I'm so lazy in a productive way that I've gotten by for 6 years with this being a very fast compiler despite this being a pile of garbage. Like, this is, if it's a procedure, these are relevant. If it's an array, maybe that and these are relevant, right? Let me actually put these together. I hope I don't break something. It's like not even a union, which I find easier to program with because you have less to check in code and you don't have to look at things in the debugger. But it is pretty memory efficient or inefficient, right? like, so our type struct is like, it's at least 3 times as big as it needs to be. And every expression in the language has a type. So it is very likely that when I get around to shrinking this, the compiler will get faster by a noticeable amount. I don't know by how much, but it's possible. Because we make so many of these. Although that said, a lot of the time they're just pointer copied. So maybe it's not actually that many. I don't know. Anyway, though. Imagine how much garbage other compilers have. Oh, I can imagine. I can imagine. Bring out the snow mints. I just did have some chocolate. I'm not going to lie about that. And what's funny is lots of people might look at this and say, oh, this is such bad code because it doesn't blah, blah, blah. But the compiler runs like 1 trillion times faster than anything that person would write. And this is it's a relatively trivial, it's not totally trivial, but it's a relatively straightforward non-rocket science program transformation to go from this to the version that doesn't waste memory. Like you can just explain algorithmically how to do that. So it's like not a big deal. It's kind of easy, right? Whereas like the problems of like taming the complexity of the interactions between different features in the language are actually hard and are the things that need to be solved well. Okay. So let me go back to this. So everyone who calls the old thing needs to call the new thing. And I think that includes polyproposal, right? Does that have a... No. All right, we'll just see. We'll just see. Anyway, we also need to get rid of this. Oops. Very sad. And that's going to break people. Okay. Let's go back here first. All right. Let's make sure that makes sense. Put arguments into lambda. Oof. I mean, I guess. I think that gets called from the parser, though, which kind of sucks. Yeah. To be conservative, I'm going to leave this where it is, but then we will consider moving it. Okay. Okay, so that is this not having been updated. And then copier. It's kind of silly. Yeah, we don't. So when we check var args, oh, we check the type definition is var args. We just deleted that flag. So we're going to have to deal with that in a second. Okay. Before we can compile, we're going to have to deal with that. The version of blueprints could literally be pointing to a language module, and it can scan all the declarations dynamically and figure out how to generate the right code when you use those procedures type in the blueprints graph thing. I mean, yeah, the thing you got to realize is, though, a lot of the work just goes into making the interface good. Like, the thing is, something like blueprints that's good isn't just boxes and it's the same as if you programmed in text. Because what's actually useful about that representation is that you're not programming in text. It's simpler, right? So like you kind of have to, whoever makes the boxes UI kind of has to know what is going on and accommodate for the fact that they're trying to make it easier. Now that said, yeah, if you want to call out to like various things, for sure, it's very easy to hook them up. You don't have to write manual bindings like you would in C++, for sure. But the usefulness of that kind of system comes from a different thing. Okay. 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 Yeah, I think we can just do all this in the frickin' Lambda. In check Lambda. Check Lambda, that's where. Okay, so we do that, and then there's one in parser. Yeah, these are all, okay. Oh. Oh, this is for a struct. I forgot armed robbery was against the law. Desk. Structs need one of these too. That's a slightly annoying thing, but it's fine. For the same reason as with the types, this memory can be saved later. Okay, where's the arguments? Oh my gosh, structs are big too. Not as big. What? Argument declarations. Where do those go? Oh, it goes in the scope. The arguments. constants block. Right. Okay. Let me make sure we got all these. Okay, so now when we build, we are complaining. Okay, so now there's this part. I got to make sure. So this is weird. This code could be a little bit wrong even before. No, it's only on Lambda. Little change. Varag. Oh man, guys. Can't type. Okay. So this one, oh yeah. That's just gonna go away because that's gonna be passed in the spec. So now we still have this issue that we're trying to use this type definition as varargs flag in the other place. We're not just simplifying it, we are making it better. The deal is that varargs information used to be stored on the type. So like a varargs argument to a procedure was a different type than a non-varargs argument, which makes sense if you think about the C way of doing varargs, but in this language it's different. It doesn't work that way. So yeah, okay. Oh my gosh. Look at everyone who wants this flag. Oh my gosh, okay. So this is the thing that is looking for it. We want to change this to some inst flags. Instead of defin flags, is that all we need defin flags for? Okay. Okay. What is this is array view situation? Does anyone use that? Wow. They do. Oh, well, we can't because of the polymorphic down there. Okay. Okay, that gets rid of 2 of them. Yeah, this is annoying. Yeah, okay, we're gonna get rid of this. We're going full breakage. I was gonna try to do a minimal thing. No, we're not. We're not doing the minimal thing. We're gonna get rid of that. We're gonna get rid of that. We need to make sure in copier that we copy inst flags, which we do. Uh-oh. So I haven't got my backtick back. So now we only do this at type checking time. Great. Varags still can't type. Okay. Got more of these. Yeah, so we have a redundant check here. Okay, so we're just going to move this here. Made some tiny gains there. Lol. Okay, so we're using this vargs declaration. Okay, oh, we also want to get rid of this contains vargs flag. We're just going full break. Full break. Full psychotic break. Okay. And we're going to have to clean those up. Okay. Great. There's still things to clean up. Okay. What do we do now? We continue with what we're doing. Let's do that contains's. Okay, this part. Actually, yeah, so that's the only caller for that. Well, so the deal is this is just checking checking overloads against each other to see if they're exactly the same. Okay, here's what we do. If we have both of them, we want to check the contents. Otherwise, if either of them is set, but we know both of them is set, they don't match. Okay, that's some economy right there. That's some logic for you. Oh, it's called calling spec. Right? Whoops. How many times did I call it that? Not that much. Okay. Anyway. So if they both have them, then we just have to say that. Okay. Actually, we could use that right here. Ooh. Okay, great. The list is getting shorter. Okay, there's this thing, which is like, how do we get and deal with one of these? Whoa, look at all the people who showed up. Hello, rating people. We're not doing official crank session, but we are doing me getting work done. Look at all the people. We'll turn on the camera soon, too, by the way. But not till after I have some morning tea, so I wake up and can say hello to the people. So we're working on a compiler. The compiler is very complicated. We've been working on it for a long time. And the thing that we are doing now is just cleaning up some stuff that already worked, and we're making it better. And we're getting rid of a couple weird quirks that happened in very strange cases where you were calling functions that had variable arguments. It worked, mostly, but there was something funny about it, and we're fixing the funny thing, and that involves breaking the thing that used to work. So that's the sad part of programming, really. It's sad. You have to write a simple compiler for your university course. What book do they use for that class? Do you know? Have you started it? Okay. So we deleted this get vargs declaration. Okay, so we're going to say if this is varargs is true, varargs decl equals whatever the declarations are, sub this, maybe it's called varargs index, I don't know. I think it is. So what is the, it's argument holder. Oh, we have declarations. Where did we get that? Declarations. Okay, it's right there. So that's this. So then we will have this. Okay. Great. What? Oh, wrong file. Okay, that's not even a thing anymore. That's not a question. Could you create a bare metal exe? What does bare metal exe mean? Have I taken a look at it at QBE? Not really. I know of its existence. I have not looked at it very closely. We're just going to do optimizations in our own backend anyway. Like, there's no, yeah. For stuff like that, I'm not big on using other people's things unless we have to. So for LLVM, it's fine. But I don't know. I don't know. Bare metal probably means it runs without an OS. Well, I mean, you certainly could, but most of the modules assume that they have OS things that they can do, like opening files. Maybe not most of them. Significant number of them. Okay, so this is, if it's varargs, okay, if this and right? For C procedures, we actually need to check this. For C procedures, your vargs could only be the last argument. Not a member of scope entry. isn't flags. Getting down toward the end. Wait. Lol. Lol. Okay. How much of an impact do comments in white space play during compilation? They are very fast to parse through. I mean, they are the fastest thing of anything by far. So I wouldn't worry about it. Okay, so the problem here oh, this is for the instantiation. This is easy. All right. I thought we were going to have to do something else. Okay. Okay. Great. So many changes. So many changes. On the web, every millisecond counts. Not on any web that I've ever used. What are you even talking about? Oh, you mean like because they're interpreted languages. So that stuff gets parsed through every time you run the thing. Look, those languages are slow. Don't even worry about white space. Because running anything in those languages is so slow, it's going to dominate the white space by far. He was baiting me. I don't know. I can't tell when people are like a lot of people think the web is really fast. So great. Functions that are not handling things. Okay. How is there so much redundant code? Never mind. I know the answer to that. Copy paste programming. Copy paste programming. All right. Vararg's calling spec. Ah, okay. No, this one is got to be handled a little different. Okay. So do compilers generally remove all white space in a file before lexing? No, that would be very slow. Generally, you just remove white space as you see it. Or not even remove. You don't remove it because you don't want to perform copy operations on the file. You just skip past the white space as you see it. Dude, we made some gains there in line count. Maybe not as much here, but come on, bro. It's called arguments, probably. I'm getting hungry. What data structure am I dealing with? argument info. Okay. Hold on. Oh. Whoops. Who? So I kind of want to delete, this function no longer exists, so I should delete that. Oh, let's see what ideas it has. Create definition, copy signature to clipboard. Those are great ideas. I mean, we could just make that function again. If we want to use it. I'm not that much against having to. All right. Today is probably not the best day for me to talk about this stuff. I need another day or two to look at the global situation, let's say. So like early in the week is better. Early in the week. Yeah, so we're going to make this procedure again. Probably doesn't go there, though. I don't know where it goes. Goes there. Fine. Okay. So we're not going to do the index return. If you want the index, look at the thing. This is a convenience function only. Um, okay. What did I say it was? I thought it was called, oh, varg's calling spec. Silly. Get varg's declare. Okay, so now oh no, we actually want the index. Fine. I'm getting hungry, everybody. I just want to get to a fully compiling program. What? What do you mean before it's used? Argument 1. No, now I'm screwed. Now I'm screwed. The reason I'm screwed is, well, I'm not screwed. I would have to write something stupid for this. Like I don't, so this type, when I just did the thing that I just did, I assumed that we were taking a procedure type, and this thing can take a struct type as well. C does not have a runtime. That's false. C absolutely does have a runtime. Let me all right, I'm going to start putting some food on while I think about how to deal with this travesty that we have encountered. It is a travesty. Okay. What do I do about this? What was in vargs info again? Because we get that. Vargs info is what we set at the calling time. We could just put the frickin' spec in there. Okay, so okay. So this is about to become a sillier function. Whoops, what did I do there? That's when you know you need some eggs. Sometimes it's such a pain in the butt to do the simplest things. Guys, it's so silly. Now all the callers, well, there's only 2 callers, but what a silly function. Wait. Now I'm extra screwed. That's a fucking output argument. Guys, this is not going... This is a very trivial thing we are trying to do. This is not going well. We're going to burn it with fire. are going to burn it with fire. We're going to do it a different way. Goodbye to that thing that we did. Okay. So this is going to take care of one of the call. The problem was these two calling sites were sort of trying to do two very different things actually, and that was being masked by the old way that we did this. But it will not be masked by the new way that we did this. I was trying to save the time of doing this loop. That was sort of the lucrative thing, but like that doesn't actually make sense. Okay. This one actually wants it for a different reason. This one we can just type out. What a butt pain. Okay, well, that's a great milestone. The chances that this works without error are not very high. But let me check on my eggs. Yeah, I've never, like, guys, you have to realize Visual Studio Code is programmed and implemented by the people who are the generation following the people who made current Visual Studio, who are made by the generation of people following the generation that made the original C# rewrite of Visual Studio, who was made by the generation following the generation who made the later C++ versions of Visual Studio, who were made by the generation following the generation that made original Visual Studio, and there has been skill deterioration in each of those generations. So the people making Visual Studio Code have no idea what the fuck they're doing or how to program. Like, this is just the thing that you have to realize. It's being made by throwing warm bodies at the problem. So, like, of course, it's not going to be very good. Like, I think people are fooled because, like, if you use Electron or something like that, you get a certain level of pretend gloss from Electron. Like, all the widgets sort of behave in a way that looks nice. Like, that was one thing that Electron did well. So as long as you have that, everybody thinks that you're good because they mouse over the thing and it like lights up in a nice way. But like the program underlying it is shit, but you can't tell that because you can't see what's underneath. Right? So currently exploring the domain of 2D vector data graphics and ended up with a scene graph kind of thing. No, don't do it. The reason you ended up with that is probably because you learned how to program in an object-oriented way. And scene graphs and object-oriented kind of go together. Maybe all transforms just relative to the world space origin. And when objects are supposed to be nested groups, you just make sure to transform them all equally. Okay, you could do that. Okay, so yes, what I do in all my games is every entity has just a flat transform on it that tells you where it is in world space. But B, a thing you could do B is that every entity says, here's an index of an entity that I'm relative to, right? Or an ID of an entity that I'm relative to. And that's sort of an implicit scene graph. But that is very different from entity A has an array of things that are childed to its transform, right? That's an explicit scene graph, and you want to stay away from that by all means. It's never worked in all of human history. So you mean if entities just have a parent ID, that would be okay? You're not sure you understand this, what you currently have. So then what you have is not a scene graph. When you have a scene graph, what you have is an explicit node-based representation where nodes represent the structure of the scene and have pointers to each other and are contained within each other in a way that has to be maintained in order to maintain the structure of the scene. Godot relies heavily on a scene graph. Yeah, well, it's very sad. I think Unity does too, right? Yeah, I mean, if you're just saying, look, I want this entity to be relative to this other entity, that's just what you want, right? Which is independent of how that's represented in code, right? Unity uses parent ID. Oh, okay, that's cool. What do game developers do when optimizing for specific platforms? What specifically do you change in your engine code to optimize for PS or Switch? I mean, that's a very broad question. That depends heavily on the particular game, what the game is trying to do. Usually it's graphics, right? Because graphics is where most of the computational power goes. But that depends on what kind of graphics is the game trying to do, right? You're running into float precision issues. How big of a play area do you have? Like, okay, so here's the thing. Let's say, for example, that your unit is meters, right? If your play area has a radius of, let's say, more than 1,000 meters, which a lot of modern games do, you can't do physics in world space at that point, or you'll run into float precision issues. Because the problem with like stuff like physics is, you have a you're doing things over a small delta time, right? And so you end up dealing with small floating point values, like much less than one. And so you have numbers much less than one plus numbers much greater than one, and you're going to lose a lot of bits. Yes. And so you kind of have to transform into local space or maybe use doubles, one or the other. Did you have graphics to their access to their graphics? Yes. When you sign up as a developer of a console, you get access to their graphics API. Yes. Yeah, if you're doing a space engine, if it's outer space, you definitely need to handle like float precision errors. If you do things naively, are expected, right? And so you have to figure out what to do about that. You could use doubles. You could transform locally. Each of those has drawbacks, right? I mean, look, if you're young and interested in getting into video games, don't get all uptight about wanting to be a console developer. It's fine, because before being a console developer or not is a problem, you need to be able to make games effectively, right? So if you don't have that under control, like be able to make a good game on a PC and then worry about how to get it on a console. And the thing is, once you've done that, it's actually pretty easy to get your game on a console. Hopefully, unless you're unlucky. But like the thing to work on is being good at making the game. Because if you don't have a game, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter if you're signed up for a console if you don't have a game. Are doubles still slower? I believe they are universally slower, yes. They certainly take more memory, but they're also slower, probably. You can check that pretty fast, though, with references. All right, we're going to get some hot cinnamon spice tea going. Almost certainly I didn't do this correctly. And there are going to be compile errors, or runtime errors, I mean. "16-bit floats." Dude, people use 8-bit floats in neural networks sometimes. Although that's kind of absurd. Or maybe it's just 8-bit ints. I guess it's 8-bit ints, effectively. Like if you say this is between 0 and 1, that's effectively an integer. Lol. I screwed it up so bad we didn't even get through the default metaprogram. You don't, okay, I will say, if you try to solve this precision error, do not do it relative to the camera. Do not do that. That is bad. Have some kind of definition of the local area that is camera independent, whatever that means. It might mean dividing space into giant grids and doing it in the local grid. It might mean a planet has a local space around it, right? But then what do you do far in between planets? But do not do it camera relative. That is ass. Why is it bad? Because there's no objective reality to your universe. And it's very hard to debug because, like, there's no ground truth because it's like, oh, just the camera's somewhere. Yeah, you don't want that. Like, also, you don't want things to break if they're happening far from the camera. Just don't do it camera relative. Have some point that you transform into the local space of, but that space is not the camera. What you have right now is a grid of 1,000 unit cubes, which are relative to the planet themselves. That sounds like a reasonable thing to do. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Procedure call is missing argument args. So I gotta debug this. I bet if I just even compiled this tiny program. Yep. Because the problem's in the default meta program. Okay. 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 So, trying to resolve potential overloads. Why is Varg's argument index -1? That's wrong. Because we didn't set it. We know the declaration. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So like, why am I doing that? That's silly. Okay. Okay. Hey, we made it all the way to the check module, and well, we changed that. Woof. Well, that's the LLVM backend because these arguments didn't do the thing. All right. So x64 maybe works. Oh, we have to make release compiler if we're going to run release compiler. Hey. Look, the game works. Okay, now the question is, can I remove the special hack that I added to the game? Let's see. Where was the special hack? I don't remember. Look at all these that I have open. Maybe it's in one of these. Nope. 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 Okay. Wait, did I not check it in? Last night, I made this change so I could work around a thing, and I didn't even check it in. Work around compiler bug until I can fix it tomorrow. Well, great. Great. Super great. Are characters driven with root motion? No, they are not. Could we do that? Yeah, I guess. I would want to run some validation on it at animation load time or something to make sure that the dude crosses into the next square in a reasonable amount of time. Root motion is a horrible concept for gameplay. Yeah, I think that is true. It is less true for this game because you basically say go to the next square and then he goes. It's not like the moment to moment nuances of where the dude is in the between the squares really matter in this game. Whereas if it's an action game and a dude's walking around, you really don't want root motion. You know. Stream title still says Space Nautica game. What? No, it doesn't. It says Compilerino. Doesn't it? You are under the impression that twitch.tv is supposed to work correctly and update you, but you forgot that it is a website. And therefore, because it is a website, people simultaneously have this weird cognitive schizophrenia where they think it's the greatest thing ever, but also excuse everything that it does wrong, which is almost everything. Okay. Why don't I start a web revolution? Because if you're the revolutionary dumb guy, you're still a dumb guy. No, dumb guy is mean. It's not the right frame. Careless person. If you're the revolutionary careless person, you're still the careless person. I don't know. I just have, I have too many things to do right now to worry about that. I think okay, there are definitely things, as you know, if you've come to the stream, that I do not like about the web and that I would change, for sure. However, I think what we are seeing these days is that a lot of things about the current structure of the web are not very good. I was never very much like a crypto guy, like privacy token kind of dude, but starting to look like we need that. So I don't know where that's going to go, but I feel like if you're going to redesign the web, you need to do that in some way, but in a better way than people are currently doing it. And that's kind of why I don't want to put any mental energy there. I mean, and also I would rather do the operating system than the web. Web comes third. Programming language first, operating system second, web third. Okay. So, well, LLVM didn't go correctly. And that's going to be annoying because, like, everything to do with LLVM sucks. So it could take hours to debug this thing that works fine in the other backend now. We'll see. We will find out. We will find out. Okay. So can I do even this? I don't think I can. All right, this failed. Assertion failed somewhere in LLVM, calling a function with a bad signature. Great. No idea what that even, how to debug that. Okay. Well, I could just look at things that use var args and see if I screwed it up. So that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. This is probably it. Or this. Oh, no, this is totally wrong. This is wrong right here. Nope. Well, it wasn't the only problem. That was definitely wrong, though. Oh my God. It burns my, LLVM burns my eyes. Why are we doing the same thing? All right. Okay. So just like with all LLVM debugging, we don't really have a way to catch this at the site where the problem happens. It's always delayed. As far as I know. Maybe there's a way to like validate the call. Maybe I can find out which call it is, and that could help narrow it down. Make sure I'm up to date. Yeah. Well, like note how it doesn't actually tell me the actual location because there isn't any fucking location info. All right. Oh, this is probably set to go x64. Okay. Maybe we can find some though. Oh, wait. Oh, this is actually not bad. This isn't as bad as I thought it would be. So we actually know where we are. Which is not always the case with LLVM. Okay. So we can tell if it's a C procedure or not. Print. Oh. Oh, it is a C procedure. So we're calling stb sprintf, which is a varargs procedure, much like non-stb sprintf. So it's in the C case that we are getting this wrong, at least. Maybe both, but this particular one is the C case. Well. Maybe it happens a little earlier up. No, it's going to be happening. Okay, it's either happening at the procedure definition time or at the call creation time. One or the other of these. So let's look at call creation time. Oh my God, it's just fucking nonsense. Okay, so I think actually it has to be at function creation time because there is no handling it. Like what is it? Who thinks this is code that you should not be fired for writing. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Oh, someone from the LLVM team is watching this stream right now and they're like, what's he talking about? That's the cleanest code I ever saw. It's less than 10 lines. It is just barely 10 lines. So this is the maximum sized function that you're allowed to write. It's not even, yeah, it is 10 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Close brace. You've seen worse things in Windows.h? No doubt. No doubt. Okay. So it's got to be in the function type creation for a cvargs procedure. So this is cvargs is sus. It is sus. Okay, yeah, no, this is wrong too. Oh. I've got to fix that. Okay. So I think it's time to make the release compiler and run a Benny test and make sure that things work. You miss the FPS counter. Well, I don't. Yeah, the thing to realize about forums, the thing to realize about programming forums specifically is the people posting on the programming forum are not currently programming. So the people who post the most are the people who program the least. Probably. There's a correlation that way anyway. The people who have a lot of responsibility and are really busy because they've been given a lot of responsibility because they solved problems effectively, they probably ain't posting on the forum. Does the same apply to streaming? Well, it depends. Is the person programming while streaming or not? Oh, you mean people watching the stream? Well, yeah, probably. I mean, even if you're programming while watching this stream, you're probably more productive if you program without watching the stream, you know? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. think my plan is I want to ship another compiler beta like tomorrow night that has some. What else did I do in the compiler? Wrote a little essay. Oh, the return type change. Oh, and simp. We did a lot of simp stuff this week. We did a huge amount of simping, really, is what to say about that. Okay, fixed some weird type interactions between varargs and polymorphism. Beta 50, guys. 50, okay? First open beta was January 1st, 2020. Or it's closed beta. Closed beta. So in a year and 2 months, we've done 50 betas. So that's 14 months for 50 betas. Which is like more than 3 a month. Not quite a beta a week, but yeah. And if you look at the change logs, these are betas where serious shit happened most of the time. Some of them were just quick bug fixes. I only started doing the change log at beta 5, so what was before that was lost in the mists of time. I guess in the first week I did do several. Anyway, though, so the change log is 1,100 lines. So that's pretty good. And we passed our Benny test. Yeah, expected number of fails. That's great. Great. I'm not sure what's going on with these. I'm going to have to investigate that later. Anyway. That's good. So I guess I check this in if it works on the tests. In both LLVM and x64. And then there's another thing I want to do, and then I'll probably take a break and end the stream. And it is a big but. Uh-oh. Oh, that's easy. That's that I changed this flag. Compiler get nodes. in program print. Yeah, of course, program print. Oh yeah. Simplified some of the flags in modules compiler to have in mind enum declaration. Okay. So that's probably fine. Let's see. Nope. Oh, because, yeah. There we go. Just cranking through these. Don't mind me. Don't mind me. I'm just going. It's the beta compiler you wish. I wish. I wish beta 50 was ready to give to people. Okay. Look at all them changes. Let's check for a no check-in before we get burned. Ain't none. Bam. Bam, batambalam. Okay, what in Sokoban? So we took out that one change, but what was the other one? Oh, there's that. Yeah, okay. So this one we can just revert now. This one I'm not sure about. Okay, so the last thing is, I don't think anyone was making sure anymore that if you call a C procedure, that the vargs has to be last. So, like, what if we say foo is x string y dot any C call, right? Well, okay. Oh, whoops, right string. Can't even do that. I could. Oh, yuck. I was going to make it no context, but we need context for the... Wait. Do we? Well, we do call that. What if I... Can I do this? I thought we had that. Well, we could think about that at some point. Okay. Anyway. Foo. Okay, what if I try to put Z as a float? See, this is illegal in C. It is legal in our language, but we don't check that. We don't check that this is bad news bears. Report an error on in a C call procedure, the vargs, there can only be one vargs argument, dot argument, and it must be the last argument to the procedure. Okay. Lambda is C call. A little bit redundant if I'm being honest. Okay. Hey, look. And it must be the last argument. Okay. Great. Let's do it LLVM style. Since the OS wouldn't have scripting, would it have a command line? Yes, it would have a command line. It would just work differently than Unix command line. CCall stands for cat call, programming language canceled. Okay. Well, we ate some bug snacks today. I feel like it's time for me to wake up and start having a morning. It's 9:30 in the morning. I could go have a day, which will consist probably mostly of programming, maybe reading a little bit of books. We'll probably stream again later today, but how much pure math do I know? I mean, I don't know what you mean by pure math. There's math. I know a little bit. I don't know very much compared to a mathematician, if that's the question. Let's see. This is game dev, but it's modeling. We only host her when she's programming. Group is. Can I filter by English language? Speak English, dang it. Oh, I'm going to get canceled for that joke now. Unity level design is, well, we could host design as well. That's a thing that we do. How many words do I know? At least 5. Search tags, English. Okay. There we go. Well, my life with ferrets. Game dev and advanced C++. Oh yeah, look at all that standard IO redirection. That's fucking advanced. Oh, XML Lua open. Yeah, no, we're not. We're not doing that. More full stack web development. If it was a choice between more full stack web development and Nigerian dwarf dairy goats, I think you would know which channel I would pick. I think the choice is clear. Docker and Elixir. Is this some robotics? I guess the robots have to like pick up the things and move them quickly. Matcha Jam with Bebop Live. I don't know what that is. Is it some peripheral?
Yeah.
That's just a weird look.
Too
It's
slow
like
to
I
open
don't know,
or run
it's like
projects.
yeah.
Okay. We're going to raid this, and we're going to hope that they actually make something. And see you later. Bye, everybody.